Okay, we kicked off with students, and we're going to move right into our today's keynote. I'm so excited to introduce our first speaker of the conference. I've really wanted us to try and continue to make those connections back to the classroom. And I think our next speaker does just that. At just 11 years old, Vedant Kupa launched his platform, Global Kid Media. Since then, Vedant has achieved what most would conceive as a dream that every adult would want to do. He's conducted over 2,000 interviews with high-profile athletes and celebrities like Patrick Mahomes, go Chiefs, come on, Magic Johnson, Snoop Dogg, Jack Nicklaus, and those are just a few. He's hosted more than 250 shows on Instagram Live. He's covered over 100 major events, and he's even published a book. And get this, he's a college freshman. Most of us expect someone to have accomplished all that would not be age 18, but that's the whole point of this. Vedant's hard work and grit continue to challenge the conventional thinking that kids have to wait to have an impact. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to the remarkable Vedant Gupta.
All right, how's everyone doing today? I love it. Well, that was a great introduction. I feel very hyped up right now, but this is my presentation, No Limits, how any student can become a successful entrepreneur, author, and speaker. Need this. All right, so my name is Vedant Gupta. I'm currently a freshman at Michigan State University. I started, Go Green? All right, there we go. I started Global Kid Media when I was 11 years old, and I'm the author of Global Kid Media, A Kid Entrepreneur's Time-Traveling Journey. Before I get into my journey today, I want to start with a little icebreaker. I want y'all to talk to each other a little bit. Turn to the people around you and find something not unique, extraordinarily unique about the people at your table. We'll give about 60 seconds. Let's get it. All right. Let's get back. I want a few people to raise their hand and tell me something extraordinarily unique that they learned. Let's get a couple hands. Anybody? Let's hear it. A patent holder. Wow. Let's get a couple more. Anybody else? Come on, you guys all learned something unique, right? Way back there. What was that? Oh, wow. That's interesting. Anything else?
What did they say over there?
I think she said she names all her coats. Is that right? Ohio State fan. Natty coming up. They're in the Natty. All right. Well, I want to talk about what makes me unique, but before I do that, I want to talk about my goals here today. I have a book, and I want every one of the school districts here to purchase at least one book for every one of your elementary, middle school, and high school. It could be the library. It could be for the schools. So that's what I want to do today. I want every district to hire me to speak to your students. I want to be there face-to-face and inspire them. And I hope everyone is inspired today. This book and this journey really helps me support on my personal educational journey in college. So why is an 18-year-old presenting to you today, even though you all look about 18, 20? I'm just a normal kid. I play sports. I go to school. I have a social life. We all spend time on TikTok. But there's a few things different about me, which is why I'm here. So I'm going to show a few videos, and then I'm going to spell those things out. I heard Notre Dame, Ohio State, there's a natty coming up, so I wanted to share a couple clips that I have. There's a guy you all love. And then here's two Notre Dame former quarterbacks talking about me, Ian Book and Brandon Wimbush, after I was on the show.
That was good.
What's up, pimp? How you doing?
Oh, hey, that kid is a genius.
Dude, have you met him before or no?
I don't think so, but I know at 14 I wasn't thinking about communication.
All right, a couple of other clips that I want to share, some different testimonials. If you're watching the NFL playoffs, you know who this guy is.
There from Global Kid Media.
Josh Allen with Global Kid Media. Go Bills.
All right, if you watch the WNBA, one of the best
So
legends,
glad you're
Lisa
here
Leslie.
doing what you do. And thank you to all of those followers that follow him. He's awesome.
Patrick Mahomes, one of the NFL greats. You got his mom over here at the Super Bowl.
He is an amazing reporter. Coming up. So y'all just
That's why I tried to stop it after I said it, because I tried to slide.
All right, so there's a bunch of faces here of people that I've interviewed. I want you to shout out who you recognize. Let's hear it. Just shout it out. Magic, Snoop. All right, so here we go. You got Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, one of the greatest golfers. Patrick Mahomes, we saw him. Zion Williamson and Giannis, two NBA stars. Saquon Barkley of the NFL. Denny Hamlin, if you like NASCAR. Pedro Martinez, one of the greatest baseball players. Magic Johnson, of course. And then Snoop Dogg. Everyone was Snoop Dogg. So I'm going to talk about 4 things that make me unique, which is why I'm here. First and foremost, my celebrity media entrepreneur company. I started when I was 11 years old, and I've done 2,000 celebrity interviews. I've traveled to 19 states and covered 100 events while doing 100 business partnerships. We'll dive into that more. Second, I'm a teenage author, one of the only in the world who's written a nonfiction book over 300 pages. And I appreciate real-world marketing. I'm going to talk about the skills that it took to sell about 500 copies today and hopefully multiply that number today. 3, I'm a presenter. Like you see me up here today, I won the state of Michigan speaking competition for the Optimist Club and competed at Worlds. I presented at every level of schools, elementary, middle school, and high school, and I have a goal of being a global motivational speaker. And finally, my educational journey. At Grand Blanc High School over at Genesee Intermediate School District, I took high school classes every year since 6th grade, never missed a season of playing sports all year round, and I took 11 AP classes, graduating with a 3.6 GPA, yet I was still rejected by 17 out of 18 schools. So we'll get to that. But first and foremost, being a celebrity media entrepreneur, how did it all get started? It was through the hands of fate. I was 11 years old and I saw an application for Sports Illustrated for Kids. I decided to go cover the NCAA tournament. 4 things had to go right. First and foremost, the state of Michigan had to host March Madness at the Detroit region, which is rare. That's through fate. Second of all, one of our home markets, Michigan or Michigan State, had to get placed in that Detroit region. Again, rare, but it happened. Third, I needed someone to give me media credentials. I called 100 different people at Michigan State, and one person said, I'll give you media credentials. And 4, the timing had to match up for SI for Kids application and March Madness. So what was the result? I showed up there, I did interviews with everyone, Coach Boeheim at Syracuse, TCU, Michigan State, everyone I could possibly find. Here's a clip of one of the first questions I ever asked to Coach Tom Izzo.
On St. Patrick's Day, I'm wearing these clothes because I'm proud of who I am and where I'm from. And I wanted to ask you, what are you proud of for where you're from, who you are, and your team?
Wow. Well, I'm an Italian guy, so I can celebrate any holiday. You know, I just go that way, and I'm.
So you see that great clip over there, and I wore Indian clothes and asked him about being proud of who he is. I actually got rejected by Sports Illustrated for Kids, but I decided I wanted to keep going. So I started Global Kid Media, my own company, and I got a contact at the NFL to support me to come out to the Pro Bowl. You see Snoop Dogg at the celebrity game, Saquon Barkley. Here's a clip with Patrick Mahomes.
You're out here right now. How do you want to leave your legacy besides being one of the greatest players?
Yeah, I want to be someone known as a great person that was a part of the community. I mean, I want to be someone that people can come up to and talk to. And
so he actually started 15 in the Mahomies, which is one of the best foundations in the NFL now, and that was interesting. It was just a few months after that interview. Here's Deion Sanders.
First of all, for guys like you are making it better for a guy like me, because one day you can be anything you want. You're going to run this world.
I was actually working during the game, too, in the downpour rain. I was on the sidelines doing interviews. Here's Mitch Trubisky.
All season now,
you see me right there on the scene during the game.
Well, after this, I'm going to try to get dry, and then...
And the most impactful interview that I did that weekend, there was an event with the players and the kids from the Special Olympics. And I had a chance to do this interview, pure passion, pure energy. Take a listen.
Day
was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done, and I'll talk more about different events and stories that led to it, but more events came. You see Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jack Nicklaus, we saw earlier, here's that testimonial.
No, I don't have any questions except that I'm delighted to see a young man go out and want to learn and be part and do some good in this country. And
Magic Johnson leading me around the press room at an event I was at.
Listen to this guy right here, though. He'll steer you wrong, okay? No, stop that. You know, how are you, man? Good to see you. Everything okay? No, not me.
Paige Beckers, if you watch college basketball, you know one of the women's stars over at UConn. Here's a fun interview with her, Jalen Suggs from the NBA, her mom, and then Paige Beckers. Just a cool moment.
Paige Beckers, I play at UConn. I'm a sophomore. This is my extra daughter, Paige Beckers. This is her real mother. I'm her
Real mom, she's my real daughter.
So we've got, I guess, 2.5 generations. All right, and then Coach K, one of the legendary coaches of college basketball.
Thank you for being here. How old are you now?
12.
12.
Yep.
Holy mackerel.
Zion Williamson.
You talk a lot about the connection with Noah, your little brother. What are your advice and tips for him?
Just keep working hard. Never give up.
Never give up. That's one of my chapter names, and we'll get into that more. But I faced challenges, too. It wasn't all smooth. As a young person, a lot of times I faced no media access given, discrimination because of how young I was, people saying you can't do it. I got my phone taken by security guards. I got kicked out of places. I just show up at hotel lobbies, outside stadiums in the cold. And business growth. To travel to the 19 different states, I had to make hundreds of calls while traveling. I had to offset my costs and work with hotels, restaurants, destinations. I got big sponsorships from cruise lines and car dealerships to go out to events like the Super Bowl. You can see more on my partnership section at globalkidmedia.com. Now, during COVID, that hit while I was doing my company, and I had to find a way to adapt. I started an Instagram live show. I had 250 guests on almost every day for a year. Entrepreneurs, professors, athletes, Hollywood people, authors, etc. And it led to more paid partnership opportunities with radios and different companies like Arcus Avenue Radio. Those are some of the guests I've had, personalities like Jay Billis, Nate Burleson, Lakers head coach J.J. Redick, NFL star quarterback Mark Sanchez, and here's a Heisman winner and former NBA player Charlie Ward.
Global Kid Media. He's very impressive for a 13-year-old, and I enjoyed, talking to him.
Wish I was still 13. So my hard work got me about 3,500 followers on Instagram just through working on it, and you can see some of the people that follow me, like Emmitt Smith, the NFL legend, Flo Rida, the music star, Terry Crews, a Hollywood star, Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers, influencers like the Professor who has millions and millions of followers, and more. Now the second thing that makes me unique is my book, Global Kid Media, Kid Entrepreneur's Time Traveling Journey. It contains 6 years of work with all the content and stories, and it took me 2 years to write these 13 chapters. Like I said, it's one of the only books written by a teenager that's over 300 pages in nonfiction. I want to go chapter by chapter and share a little bit from each chapter. You can see a bolded quote from each part. And the first chapter is the journey of a trailblazer. All of you as superintendents, as administrators, to get where you are, you went on a journey. For me, I talk about in this chapter starting the interviews. Even my logo, the green and white, stands for the environment, something I'm passionate about. The blue and pink for the kids all over the world. And the orange and red is the fire, the spark that I wanted to bring to media. Then the foundations of my company, my ethics, positivity, and honesty are talked about in this chapter. Chapter 2, finding purpose. We all had to find purpose to get to where we're at. I talk about these three skills, or these 3 steps, applying hobbies to the real world, figuring out what you're willing to sacrifice, and in that process, thrive off energy, knowing that there's going to be highs and lows. I'll tell the stories of traveling to different places, having to find purpose in these cars for hours and hours after long days on school nights. And one time when I couldn't get access to the Final Four, I was in New Orleans, and I had to go to the hotels in the hallways, hit the jackpot, finding all the legendary coaches' hotel over there and seeing every coach in college basketball pretty much. Chapter 3, building a brand around passion. We all have a brand. For me, social media wasn't everything, but it was a great platform to share my content. And if you guys want to check it out on Instagram, it's at Global Kid Media. Building my brand, I had to do 100 partnerships like I talked about. I had to offset $50,000 in order to travel, build my brand, and do what I had to do. And there's lessons in there about me investing in things like that as well. Here's a quote from the President of the United States when I met him, introducing myself, and him asking someone to take my business card. Chapter 4, this is my favorite chapter. Failure is the best way to learn how to succeed. It's important for us young people to understand that at a young age. I tell a story of a relationship I had with an NFL owner and how being over-persistent ended that relationship and led to no opportunities. I talk about a TV personality calling me a pest when I was being persistent at 12 years old, trying to get his attention. And finally, Coach K, who supported me, I asked him a question one time, and he said, I'm not going to knock your question. Well, maybe I am going to knock your question. So that was my first time getting a question knocked. But all of these stories, they taught me how to act in certain situations, but they also taught me that you got to stay true to who you are. By the way, that quote, prepare for the worst, but hope for the best, that's one of the most important quotes in my book, something my dad tells me all the time, no matter what situation you're put in. Chapter 5, Fate. This is the meat and bones of my book. It's so big, there's actually 2 parts to this chapter, but I talk about how knocking on the door at the University of Michigan led to someone saying my best friend's a walk-on at Duke, and that's how I interviewed Zion and Coach K and that whole team. I was in Atlanta, and I put my hand in the elevator door, and I walked in, I was talking to the other person in the elevator. There was a son of the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. When the Bucks came to Detroit, I interviewed Giannis and his brother and had a really cool moment there. Finding Draymond Green, one of the biggest games in Breslin Center history was Duke versus Michigan State, heavyweight battle. I was outside with no access to begin the day in the freezing cold on a school night. Through fate, I ended up inside and actually outside his suite interviewing Draymond. I have a NASCAR story. Jesse Iwuji at the time was one of the only African-American drivers in the NASCAR. I was doing an interview with him, and he supported me to try to help me find Coach Gibbs, did everything in his power, but down the road, that relationship led to me interviewing his contacts, Emmitt Smith, Sean Merriman, and more. At the college football playoffs, I told the story the night before the national championship game. I didn't have any access to the game. I was talking to a security guard in a hotel, and he said, I'm going to help you get into that game. That led to me seeing ESPN personalities who recognized me from social media in the concourse, Reese Davis, Robert Griffin, so many different people. Rocket Mortgage Classic, it's a golf tournament here in Michigan. They denied me access for media credentials, but they redirected me to an entrepreneurship competition. I ended up winning $10,000 in that competition. And it's a denial that led to a scholarship. And finally, the Super Bowl in Phoenix, we were outside with no access as usual, and I met a barber after the game, and he said, we're going to try to go find some opportunities. I'll call you if something happens. 5 minutes later, he said, we're on the field. There's an opportunity to get down here, and I was throwing passes on the confetti-filled field. Chapter 6, connecting the dots. We have to put connections together to get where we want to go, right? At the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, I was covering a press conference. Sidney Moncrief was one of the inductees. He said, I have a community event tomorrow. At that community event, I met the CEO of the Hall of Fame, and that led to being in the induction ceremony and seeing every NBA superstar. The Los Angeles Super Bowl. Lee Steinberg. Have you all seen the movie Jerry Maguire? So that movie's based off of Lee Steinberg, the NFL agent. He wrote a comment to me that you're invited to my Super Bowl party. That led me to going out there, and it led to so many opportunities just being in the city. Detroit Sports Media, the first event I ever covered, there was a reporter that I met from Detroit Sports Media. It led to an opportunity to sit down with Ken Holland, an NFL general manager. Later on at an NBA game, seeing them with Andre Drummond, and then leading the Tigers game, the 40-year reunion of Alan Trammell and those Tigers, and doing some interviews there. College football playoff story. So one night, we drove all the way through the night to get to the college football playoffs, and there was a press conference that day. We got there in the morning, so I was still in my pajamas. And someone at a hotel from Ohio State said there's press conferences next door. You saw that Ryan Day clip earlier. If you noticed, I was in my pajamas because I went to the press conference like that, just because that's how we got there. Connecting the dots, later that day, LeBron James was having his birthday party. And I went out there, I stood outside, I met all the people that he had there, and I even ended up someone saying, give me a business pitch. So I was doing that day. And finally, the story I want to share is Houston Sports Authority. Usually I don't get access. I do things on my own. But one support, Janice Burke helped me in Houston to go to the Final Four, get to an NBA game, get to a MLB game, and cover all the Final Four and championship games. Chapter 7, never give up. I mean, this is the biggest lesson we preach to all our kids in our districts, right? Never, ever give up. There's a story I talk about with Coach Saban being in a hotel, getting kicked out of there by a security guard. Somebody else had come back, and it led to me seeing Coach Saban shaking his hand, and that same security guard actually snarled at me, but it was okay. Alabama's quarterback, Bryce Young, he won the Heisman, and I saw his parents on the TV, and a couple weeks later, when we were there for the championship, we were at just roaming around the city, and I'm like, that looks like his parents. So I went over there, approached them, and did a really motivational interview. And finally, COVID guest recruitment. To have 250 guests on my show for 45 minutes to an hour every single day for almost a year took a lot of persistence, but it was all worth it because it was all about never giving up. Chapter 8, avoiding pitfalls and obstacles. These are just a bunch of lessons that I picked up throughout my journey that I want to share with other kids. Being careful who you trust and staying cautious when you give power to others and details. Knowing time is of the essence, every moment matters, and appreciating looking in the mirror. But most importantly, actions speak louder than words. I'm going to come back to that because it's something I want to share today. I want all of your support to buy these books and get it in these kids' hands, and those actions do speak louder than words. So I'll have my booth out there. I hope to see you all there. Chapter 9, parental support, your support system. It meant everything to me, being a kid, having my parents support me. Started when I was 9 and 10 years old. My dad used to make me run, and I ended up running a 10-mile road race at ages 9 and 10. Traveling to 19 states. We went to the Maui Invitational, but you would think in Hawaii you kind of kick back, relax, get some beach, get some sun. For us, it wasn't like that. We were going hotel to hotel, working all night, trying to find opportunities, sitting down with Bill Self of Kansas and different people because of that. And then all the education and sports challenges, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but my parents made me take hard classes. They didn't give me a break. I had a lot on my plate, and they pushed me. Chapter 10, sacrifices. Who in here has made sacrifices? Well, I hope everyone's hand goes up. Everyone's made sacrifices. For me, when I was traveling on these long road trips, I would make the car into my office, calling different people, doing my homework, balancing everything I could. That Magic Johnson opportunity you saw, for 4 months prior, I was practicing for a dance, and I had to bail at the last second just so I could have that opportunity. Rocket Mortgage competition where I won $10,000 and a Nickelodeon audition, they happened on the first week of school, on school nights at 3, 4 a.m., where I was working on those things, but I still had to get up and go to school the next day. I talk about a Kentucky trip. Tyrese Maxey, NBA star now, he's at Kentucky, but we roamed around the campus while we were driving back from somewhere until we found him in the freezing cold, and my mom and sister waiting in the car. They made that sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice was writing this book. It took 2 years. Every weekend, spending hours and hours on school nights, spending hours and hours in my summers. This is an important chapter, spreading positivity and giving back. I had an opportunity at the Father's Day Pro Bowl Hall of Fame event. We went to a juvenile center and talked to some teen delinquents, and I saw these Hall of Famers delivering a message really impactful. You saw the Special Olympics interview, which meant a lot to me. When I was in the ESPYs, I interviewed Chris Nikic, the first athlete with Down syndrome to complete an Ironman triathlon, and I was very inspired by that story. I had an opportunity to meet with Jane Goodall. Everyone knows the environmentalist. She's big in our schools that we preach to our kids in science classes. But meeting with her, and then also in MSC Cruises that sponsored me to go to the Super Bowl, I was promoting their Super Coral Play, Preserving the Corals initiative. Finally, helping homeless people when I travel. A lot of times on the city, people ask for money, but one of the things that's important to me and my dad is taking them with me and saying, let's take you to businesses and help you ask for a job. Close calls and near misses. They happen everywhere. You nearly miss something. I tell the story of nearly missing Steph Curry at the All-Star weekend. He was just here, but missing him. Ricky Fowler being 1 second away from interviewing him and a security guard kicking me out. LeBron James, seen him at different events, but never getting to interview him. I shook Tom Brady's hand, but I nearly missed that interview opportunity. And there's a context, Successful Jocks, Kim Murphy, who helped support me a lot. And that Tom Brady opportunity just never happened. When I was in Las Vegas, I was at a hotel, and it seemed every superstar was there. Queen Latifah, Alicia Keys, everyone, and we just barely missed them. So that's close calls and near misses. And the final chapter is kind people and acknowledgments. All the athletes and celebrities, especially their families, who were really helpful. All the legendary coaches, but strangers I'd see on the street who recognized me from social media, being kind, opening doors, all my partners, hotels, restaurants, the readers of my books who get 250 pages, and you guys here today listening to my presentation. So I got to thank those supporters. First of all, MASA for allowing me to be here today and purchasing those books. Tom Gore's Foundation buying over 200 books. All these school districts, my school district, Grand Blanc, libraries, Boys and Girls Club, and I want to add to that list with all of you here today. You can see some book marketing, Grand Blanc High School promoting me in their library for the Reading Challenge, Caleb Williams, the first overall pick, holding it up, and there's Tom Gore's. I showed up at a lot of events this summer. I was at farmers markets all over the place, spending hours selling my book at Walmart from 12 to 8 on many occasions, and it's just at different events. And again, I have my table out there. You can see it firsthand. One of the most impactful things that made it all worth it was this holiday I decided with the product for the first time in my life, I wanted to go out and give back. So I walked around, I did 13 days of giving, finding different people and giving them books and impacting them. This particular story of the picture on the right, that lady said, 2 years ago I lost my 18-year-old son. And he has a twin brother, and this book is gonna help pick him up. Those are moments that make you realize no matter what you did, it was all worth it. All right, some of the challenges I faced. I didn't have a big publisher. I thought I'd be able to just sell millions of books and get a big publisher. That's not how it works. I had to learn on the fly. I had to figure out self-publishing, formatting, work with libraries. This is an important quote to me. No matter where you are in life and how much you have done, finding support is easier said than done. The third thing that makes me unique is being a presenter like you see here today. Communication is one of my biggest passions, and it started early. Led to a championship. This is a state championship speech, a little sample from that I want to
Discovering the optimism within me. I like to think that optimism can be found in anything.
So the timeline of my communication, it started in 3rd grade. I was competing against high schoolers in an extemporaneous speech, and I won 2nd place. The next year in 4th grade, I went to high school, and I gave a reverse mentoring speech on the announcement. We'll see that clip about fighting teen depression. In 5th grade, I had a classmate with cancer, and so me and some other classmates worked together to create a video and eventually a fundraiser raising thousands of dollars. All of this built my base for communication. Here's a video of 4th grade.
Hi, my name is Vedant Gupta. I'm a 4th grader from Mason Elementary School, and I'm here today to deliver a message. You are a special person.
In 5th grade, this was getting honored for helping my classmate out.
That anyone who has witnessed or heard about your actions have been challenged. Challenged to lead by example.
All right. Now, since launching my book, I've been active, presenting everywhere I could, every level in elementary school classroom, middle school camp, high school summit, which is the Next Gen Youth Entrepreneurship Summit, and then a keynote at the Entrepreneurship Club at the University of Michigan Ross Business School. I want to show a couple clips of some of those presentations. Here's me getting introduced at the Entrepreneurship High School competition.
That's cool. Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. This speaker is going to tell you how we can all get started today. Last I checked, he was like 12 years old when he started his first business.
This is me speaking in an elementary school classroom.
You have to be willing to keep going when it gets hard. And so
really
recently
cool
I
to
wrote
see
a
all the
book.
kids.
I don't know
engaged.
if books are here.
Then another entrepreneurship
this kid's
expo.
pretty special.
My 3rd grade baseball coach introduced
I've
me.
known him many years. I used to be a baseball coach of his a long time ago, and he played baseball with my son. And of course, as long as I've been in the sports industry, working with Lions, Tigers, and all our major sports venues here in Michigan, this young man is pretty remarkable. He made his way.
All right, and this is the University of Michigan. The first part kind of hurt.
How's everyone doing today?
As a Spartan.
I'm really excited to be at Ross. Can I get Go Blue from everyone one time? Go Blue. Go Blue. Oh, come on, we can do better. One more time. Here's some passion, man. Y'all are in Michigan. Go Blue. Go Blue.
So to make me feel better about that, can we go green one time? Okay, there we go. That's better. My goal as a communicator is to get on the worldwide speaking circuit, but it's not just the communication I've done. I've had some features done on me: NPR National Radio, CBS Mornings, Newsmax Live National TV, Houston Morning Show, and features in print, magazine, and more. So I want to share some of those clips here. Here's CBS Mornings.
On today's CBS Mornings podcast, 15-year-old journalist Vedant Gupta, who recently won $10,000 in a young entrepreneur competition, discusses why he gave 10% back to other kids.
Wow.
You go, Vedant. We like that.
Here's Newsmax.
Coming up, he's 15 years old and already an award-winning media entrepreneur. And if that's not enough, this precocious teen is also a giver who has interviewed legends from sports and entertainment. That story coming up next on Wake.
The fourth thing that makes me unique is my educational journey. I had the opportunity to graduate 2 years early despite spending thousands of hours on my company. And that's because I use online learning and in-person learning mixed to get ahead. I took high school classes starting in 6th grade. I played sports every single season from 6th to 12th grade. I was a varsity captain on my football and track team. And I took 11 AP classes, graduating with honors and a 3.6 GPA. There were pros and cons to this. Traveling created a lot of chaos. Teachers didn't have a lot of leniency with me in these high-level classes, and sometimes I struggled, especially in AP math and science classes. But my parents never let me take the easy way out. They made me take the most challenging AP courses to get exposure to every subject. But there were some pros too. My experience in real-world education translated to humanities at school. I learned how to balance my time with school sports and my company, and I was able to support my college a little bit with winning that $10,000 scholarship, the 2,500 speech competition, and my sponsorships. So what was the outcome in terms of college admission?
Hey, I'm Vedant, and today I'm going to be giving you an inside scoop on college admissions. I'm going to list my qualifications and the schools that accepted or rejected me on my path to applying to the top business schools. I've done about 100 business partnerships and sponsorships, earning tens of thousands of dollars in revenue and expenses offset, paying my way to run my own media company and travel the country. I wrote a 13-chapter, 300-page nonfiction novel that took me over 2 years to write with 6 years of work experience.
So basically, I go through all these schools. Overall, I was rejected by 17 out of 18 schools. The school I'm going to, Michigan State, is the only school that accepted me. But I have some questions. Are we better off trying to impress colleges and taking easier classes? Should we do less extraordinary real-world work that will set us apart, even deciding not to miss school? Should we worry about impressing colleges through essays and recommendations instead of showing off our actual work that speaks for itself? So to wrap up, you saw me as a celebrity media company, starting that at 11 years old. You see my book, Global Kid Media, Kid Entrepreneur's Time Traveling Journey. You see me here today in front of you as a presenter and the things I've done there, and of course, my unique educational journey. No matter what anyone does, as you all know, you're gonna face obstacles. We all have. But today, you have a choice. You can support innovation and open doors, or you can close them. These were my goals at the beginning. I wanted every school district here to purchase a book for every single one of their elementary, middle school, and high schools. I want your district to hire me. I want to be able to impact those kids face to face. And I hope that we were all inspired today. So I have a question. Did everyone enjoy the presentation? I'll take that. Like I said, actions speak louder than words. I hope to see you all at my table later today, right outside there, and I'd love to talk to all of you. You can see all my contact information on my website, globalkidmedia.com. There should be a little contact form on your table. But right now, I want to take some questions. I want to hear what questions you guys have. No questions? There we go.
Who's the next big person you want to interview?
Next big person I want to interview? Ooh, that's a great question. I've done a lot of them, but Mark Cuban would be nice, I guess. I want to kind of be a business person like that one day, but I think you can find something from every interview. It doesn't really matter who you're talking to, it's what they have to offer. And it could be the janitor, it could be the biggest celebrity in the world.
How about Dan Campbell?
That'd be nice. How about those Lions? Any other questions?
What's next in your journey?
What's next in my journey? So I'm at Michigan State right now. I'm a freshman. I'm hoping to finish up my education, continue to present, continue to get out there. Like I said, my goal is to be a worldwide speaker, traveling on the circuit. But eventually I want to start a foundation of my own and give back as well. All right.
Well, wow, okay. I am sure every one of your classrooms in your districts has a Vedant in there, but the one thing I noticed, him sticking his hand in the elevator, him talking about these barriers, I feel that's our challenge. How do we help students like him rise to the occasion and be as successful as he's managed to be in his 18 years? So let's give him another round of applause. And I don't want to put any pressure on our partners, but I guess that's how you sell stuff. That was pretty persistent, and I really appreciate it. I hope everyone takes a minute to go visit his table as well.